right. Hey, welcome, folks. It's going to be your SITREP. It's 3/20/2025 coming to you live here from the Monkey Lounge in the great state of Texas. And so, hey, before we get started, I just wanted to bring this to your attention. And once again, if you haven't done so and you want to take care of you and your family, jump over here. This show is sponsored by the Satellite Phone Store. And you can jump over to sat123.com. That's sat123.com. Or that barcode, that QR code right here next to me, you can use that. It'll take you right to their website. But look, they've got some exclusive deals for our community. You can jump in there and get the Starlink, which is amazing. All kinds of different packages from just the regular Gen 3 all the way to the little Mini. The Mini is the one that I have. That thing is mobile. It is really cool. All kinds of other accoutrement to go with it. You've got bulletproof backpacks, satellite phones. And look, if you think that the T-Mobile is going to be your answer, that you can just use their phone for the satellite phone, I will tell you it doesn't operate the same way. There are a lot of exceptions when it comes to the services they offer from a satellite standpoint. It is not the same as having a satellite phone. The antennas are different. Connectivity is different. All of it is completely different. You want to get your hands like I have right here, satellite phone. Go over to sat123.com. That's sat123.com. They've got packages on the Inmarsat. It's the one my brother has. I've got this one, which is the Iridium phone. And this, great stuff. You can lock into an agreement with them. And satellite phone is included. This one here has a bulletproof backpack that comes with it. These things are also like Faraday bags. They're just amazing. Again, just jump over there, sat123.com. That's sat123.com. There is a reason why all of your congressmen are carrying satellite phones now. It's because they know if the storms come in, earthquakes, fires, whatever it may be, and then the cell towers go down, you lose connectivity, you lose the ability to reach out and touch someone. And so, yeah, satellite phone will answer all of that. So will the Starlink. I will tell you, on Friday, we lost power here. I had my generators going. I was up and running with the Starlink, ran my show, no problem at all for the folks over on Patreon. So anyway, that's sat123.com, sat123.com, or call 941-841-0844 and tell them Monkey sent you. Permission to speak freely. That is what you need. All right, look, let's jump into the show today and see what we've got going on. There's a lot of moving pieces. The world is absolutely on a powder keg. It's incredible to watch all of the things that are taking shape, realizing that they are going to have a tremendous impact on us in the future. There's no two ways about it. You cannot deport people that hate your country for a very long period of time before they start to revolt. And, we're watching the camps fill up. They are definitely moving people around. But it's not just here in the United States, whether it's the cartels trying to take a stab at us or if it's just people being stupid. Like we're going to talk about this whole Elon Musk Tesla car fire stuff. We're going to also talk about what's going on with the Ukraine, the latest and greatest, and then all the way over to Iran. So there is a lot of stuff happening around the world that we should be paying very close attention to, because it will absolutely have an impact on us. And it's just a matter of time. It really is. So let me do this. I'm going to take us over to the Mini, which is Sky Glass, and we'll start kicking the tires. So currently up, we're sitting around 271. I've stripped out a sea of trainers. We got 65 Tex 2s, 31 T38s. It's going to be your lawn darts. And then from the Hilo perspective, EC 3545s, we're sitting at about another 40. And then we've got the Hawks that are out as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty fair amount of trainers out. There's a lot of great flying weather, so they're absolutely getting some stick time in. Now, looking at the high flyers, you'll notice we've got one over the center of the U.S., one to the northern side near Canada, and then we've got this one that's out. That's off kind of the eastern seaboard. So pretty active from, well, I say active. We track about 50 plus of these Intel balloons, and every once in a while you just happen to catch them. They pop up and you've got eyes on them. But we're going to be talking about, let's just kind of get into the H-60s, Blackhawks. Sorry, vapor lock there for a minute. You can see a lot of stuff going on in the Panhandle. That's going to be all training. Most of this, probably not. This looks to be as you kind of go through it. It's U.S. Army and Border Protection, et cetera, out over the mountains here in Colorado. So we'll look closer at that here shortly as well, because I think there's definitely something they've got eyes on out here. Now, the other piece, too, as we kind of get through it, you will notice, let me see, tankers, air refuelers. I'm sitting at 23, on screen 21, so that means we've got 3 abroad. But you can see coast to coast right now, pretty active. We dropped down, we grabbed this 767-200 Pegasus. That brings us to 31, so we're a little bit, about 5 aircraft over our baseline. All right, and let me see if there's anything else. We'll look at the banana copters there, the H-47 Chinooks. Yeah, let me add those to my quiver as well. Missing a couple out of that, which is really unique because the database obviously has grown a little. And this is an aging platform, so why I didn't have them in there before, I don't know. But you can see they are kind of spread all over the U.S. 8 of them up currently. Those are good logistics birds, moving troops and equipment around. Now, let's start kind of peeling it back a little more, and you'll see we get into the intel side. You can see a little bit of stuff happening there near South Korea. I'm going to show you some U-2 flights as well that are off in that general region. Philippines, a little bit of stuff, not too crazy. You get over to this side, and you'll just notice they head up towards Russia. All right, over there near Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. Again, just the last couple days. That's 2 days worth of stuff. Now, let me take you over to Konus. There was a little bit of activity there near, well, you can see Israel as always, but you'll see they're kind of headed out of Italy. Then you get over to the U.S. and see this long straight pattern, again, looking very closely at what's going on over the mountains there. I'm going to show you some U-2 flights as well. So take a look at this. Remember the other day we mentioned, and oh, by the way, there's an image of it for you so you know what this plane looks like. But the U-2, it's the Dragon Lady. Notice this one is out towards China. Kind of strange. So it leaves Beale, right, out of California, it heads to Hawaii, a little stretch their legs a little bit, and then they bounce out and go dark. And you can see that that was the flight that continued on over to, I guess, Japan, Okinawa, but it was very close to South Korea and very close to China, and it was dark. Now, keep in mind, this is a high-altitude plane, so this thing is going to be way, way up there. These guys wear astronaut suits when they're flying because it is such a high altitude, et cetera. So we talked to U-2 for a minute. Now, let me just show you. This is NASA and NOAA. Now, the big key takeaway really is this part right here. It's the same location. I just showed you the intel flights going over. And, you start talking R-135, they are in the same region. Now, could this be looking at ice melts after the winter season? Maybe. But, you're talking, of course, we've got some other activity out over the Gulf of Mexico. We'll talk about that in a minute, too. But, yeah, you're talking high altitude, 60,000 foot plus. So, you can see them. They dip down Southern California up into the mountains there. Like I said, I think they are watching something that is in that general region, right? Now, look at the R-135. It's the same thing. We'll start out over. Notice you don't have anything. No Jake 17 flights from the R-135. Very unusual. Typically, we see that over a 2-day span, and it's lit up. This one, remember, signal intelligence, right? So they're just snatching anything and everything out of the air. Notice it sweeps around the southeast there. Takes off, heads east, goes right up the eastern seaboard there. And then notice the broken trace. You see where that one's pointed? That direction. Now, the R-135s have been doing a lot of activity out over the mountain range. Now, they haven't in the last 2 days, but when we checked in last time, that's where they were. So the fact that you've got that, you've got the NASA NOAA flight that's over the exact same region. Again, you benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're looking at ice melts. Wouldn't be unheard of. But I do just see a lot of concentration over that mountainside when it comes to Colorado, Montana, Wyoming. They are very, very interested in something out there. I pray it's not Yellowstone. That'd be just the surprise of the century, wouldn't it? But I do think they've got eyes on somebody because it's signal intelligence for the most part that they're doing, okay? And then recon flights. So that takes us kind of over the mountains, et cetera. Let's talk drones for a minute. We'll start out over the Middle East, and you'll just see that taking off out of Malta, it looks to be headed over towards the UAE, straight over the Mediterranean, right over Gaza. Okay. You get over the U.S., all we've got is a little bit of activity off the eastern seaboard. That's a high-altitude Q4 drone that is up. And then you can see down off our southern border. Okay. Now, that one off the southern border is more than likely a Q9, not a Q4. Okay. Now, last one here, just look at the AWACS. Right, and you'll see that very light as well. I don't know what's going on with NATO, but they seem to have changed their tempo. Maybe it's the U.S. is not over there doing stuff, and so therefore that has changed the tempo. Right. Reno, again, this is an area we keep seeing activity. I don't know what they're doing around the Reno side of the house. I get, you start talking Vegas, you know, maybe it's a red flag they're supporting. And then off the left coast there, right, down south. So that kind of gives us a lay of the land on who's doing what. Let's go ahead and start getting into what is happening out here. You'll notice today it looks like he's signing more executive orders around 3:30 this afternoon. And then it looks like he's getting ready to put the kibosh on the Department of Education, but looks like an education event as he signs executive orders. Oof, getting really interesting, isn't it? Okay, look at this. U.S. Attorney General, that's going to be Pam Bondi, calls Tesla vandalism a domestic terrorism. Yeah, it should be handled as such. You're talking about people that, innocent people. You're not talking, these aren't like they're a bunch of senators and congressmen driving around Teslas. These are everyday Americans that have Teslas. And look at this right here. This is why this becomes very critical. So you start talking about these hackers that have basically come out and released all the names. Look at this. These are Musk-hating hackers, released names and addresses of every Tesla owner in the U.S. with chilling symbols. And oh, by the way, check this out. We talk about these aren't senators, et cetera. But Kash Patel evidently drives one. And they have listed him, his home address, and a symbol of a Molotov cocktail. Let me know how that works out for you. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. But look at this. These are dealerships and people that own cars all over the U.S. Clearly, this doesn't capture them all. But pretty alarming. You remember they did this in the past with people that voted for Trump. That name list got out, and they had names and addresses of people that have donated to the Trump campaign, et cetera. So stay on your toes, because if you own a Tesla, people are doing some stupid stuff out there. What they don't realize is a Tesla basically takes pictures around the car, 360. So if you walk up on a Tesla, it's capturing you. It's got your face. It's got everything you're doing. You better be really well disguised if you're going to do something stupid, right? Okay, look at this. Pentagon considers a buffer zone on the border to boost illegal immigration crackdown. Says they are carefully planning and kind of how they're handling the language, because they don't want to get themselves in a legal situation. When you start talking about the Posse Comitatus Act, that is, it prevents U.S. troops from taking action on U.S. soil. And so the way they're going to do this is they're going to make this buffer zone and make it into a military installation all along the border that will allow the U.S. military to basically engage against the cartels. So smart move, absolutely needed. And it's going to be interesting to watch how it all unfolds. So, okay, let's talk deportations as they continue to happen. We heard this rumor about, they were taking people from Guantanamo Bay and they're sending them to other locations. I couldn't find anything to confirm that. But what I will tell you is Global X is absolutely, they will, like I said before, they will sell out their own mother. They are now taking a lot of these deportation flights, and we're going to look at those in just a minute. But see this deportation of Haitian migrants underway as protection status is revoked. You may see there's a court case going on right now where somebody, and I want to say they were a Columbia University student, not from here, on a visa. Look, if you come to our country and you're on a green card or a visa and you do something stupid in our country, you should get deported. The fact that these judges are stepping out and trying to protect these people, they have no rights as citizens of the United States. You do something stupid, you should be bounced back to your home country, and you should not be allowed back in the United States. So here we go. Look at this. It says carrying 46 aliens, including 25 convicted felons, expelled from the U.S. This right here, the fact that we let them in is absolutely astounding to me. It just goes to show you the harm that the previous administration was trying to do to us. But again, validation. Do you see the aircraft right here? Global X. Now, let me just show you. If I go over and we track the Global X flights in the last 2 days, I got nothing going to Haiti, which is interesting because we're going to bounce over and look at the board of the arrivals. But just notice border towns all the way down south, down into Honduras. That's taking people to prison. You also notice it's pretty stacked up in Louisiana. That's going to be Alexandria. That's a 72-hour holding facility. And then you can see they typically go there before they get deported. But nothing. I was expecting Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and I got nothing on the map. So let me take you over to the arrivals. And I will tell you, on Tuesday, they absolutely flew in. There's that Airbus that we just looked at in this picture. All right. And you can see it's coming in. There's Global X right here, tail number. Tuesday, 11:37 a.m. So it did indeed land in Haiti. For some reason, they have bounced it off the tracker. Now, here's the other thing, too. You see this BBQ? These are former Swift Air. You remember them, right? They went bankrupt under the Biden administration, but they were doing all of the dirty work, flying people into our country. Well, guess what? Eastern Air Express has acquired a couple of the aircraft, and they seem to be doing the same thing as Global X. You can see their arrival coming from Miami, Global X from Miami. Down here, there's another one, Swift Air or Eastern Airlines from Miami. So they are absolutely, you can see them popping onto the board. They're in here quite a few times. So very unlikely that they are doing tourist flights. They're absolutely deporting people just like Global X. So that's a good thing. We're getting rid of them. Your cats and your dogs will be safer. Okay, now we get over here. This is going to be Guantanamo Bay, and I do want to point out that you do see a flight. And notice I just showed you this one's currently up. Not a lot of flights going into Guantanamo Bay from the Global X perspective, but this one's coming in from El Paso, Texas, flying in. Now, I don't see it where it is departing to from there, but I will tell you that that right there, remember, El Paso, when you start talking about Biggs Army Airfield, you start talking about people coming into our country, there is a massive camp at Biggs Army Airfield, massive. It'll hold about 15,000 people. So when you see them coming in from this location, of course, this is the airport right across the runway, but doesn't mean they didn't get them on a bus and take them over there and fly them out. So, okay, there's that little data point for you. And then we get over here, Biggs Army Airfield. Now, the key takeaway to Biggs Army Airfield is just the fact that notice the amount of intel flight operating in and out of there. It's a lot, all right? These right here look to be medical flights. You'll see it headed over to the medical facility. This one headed to El Paso. These are departures, and then another one back to the medical. So maybe they got a little bit of an outbreak, something happening here at Biggs Army Airfield, probably something like TB or measles or something along those lines. But it looks like we got some medical flights that are picking people up and flying them out. Okay, let's move on. Now, look at the camber flights. A couple things I want to point out. Notice you got some of the bigger aircraft flying into RZE Poland again. I don't see Trump actually delivering things still. They said that they had started putting things back in again. I feel like maybe he's moving troops out. I know it seems crazy, but look at the amount. Kuwait, Dover, this one, Bergen. I don't know where that is, Bergen. Let's see, Campbell, Army Airfield, Sofia, that's in Bulgaria, and then you've got Frankfurt, Ramstein. So the U.S. Transportation Command is very, very active today Look at most of what you're seeing, the green dots. You see them into the Middle East. There is one here, RZE Poland forward operating base. We'll look at that again in a minute. But then here are the Brits. The Brits are pretty active as well today. Seem to be headed into the United States. I don't see where, but again, they're a little more active as well. Now you get over here to 4 flights. We'll just take a couple look-sees here. Over the Gulf of America, I know it still says Mexico. I have tucked sky glass. It's just what he's pulling from the data map perspective. There were a couple of teal flights out here. That's where we saw when I showed you the NASA NOAA stuff out here flying around. I don't know what they're doing in the Gulf of Mexico, but a little concerning. It is quite early in the season. But yeah, and then of course you can see some TFRs up here into New York and Philly, et cetera. I don't know what this is or has to do with, but it's Morristown VIP. And let's see. I mean, it could be Trump. That's a pretty big box for being Trump. He usually uses the smaller ones. And then out here, just notice you've got danger boxes as well, extended off the left coast. All right. Notice you got a lot of stuff happening down here in Mexico. I'm seeing a lot more TFRs right down in that region. Now, I don't see anything else that really catches my eye other than this. This looks to be a missile box coming out of Norway. Exercise scheduled. Danger tempo due to a test launch from Andoya Space Station. So looks like they're doing a test launch. So like I said, launch box. Okay. You remember we were talking about the whole kill switch on the F-35? You know, you have to remember that thing is a flying supercomputer, so it wouldn't surprise me. But the Pentagon has come out because, listen, if this got traction and people said, wait, these countries that are buying all of these, they've got kill switches, it would probably kill the program because the F-35 is a jobs program. Straight up, that's all it is. And had it not been, if you go back and look at F-22, the reason F-22 isn't still in mass production today, it is the most state-of-the-art futuristic aircraft out there, outside of the F-35, which the F-35 uses a lot of F-22 systems, okay? But the reason F-22 isn't still going is because it has one customer, the U.S. Air Force. Ain't nobody else on the planet flying those but us. Okay, so what they do on F-35? Oh, well, let's make it so we can give them to everybody, and that'll keep the program going. Then they can't kill it. So that's what they did. They go out, they get all these countries to start buying these fighter jets. Well, if this were to get traction and these countries start to cancel and start to go to other aircraft, the program would be, it would run out of gas here pretty quickly. So, all right. There's a little F-35A coming out at the end of the production line. That's at the far end of the plant there in Fort Worth, over there in White Settlement. The old, it's right across from Carswell, the old Carswell Air Force Base. I know it's a reserve base now, but nonetheless, you can see them in the hangar doing their checkouts and stuff. All right, so they got that one kiboshed, so they stopped the bleed, so to speak. We'll see if Germany sticks with it or if they, look, they don't come out and say something like that unless they have something to back it up, right? It's not on a whim. Okay, now, this is Ramstein. We talk about Germany. I want you to just pay attention to the amount of dignitary flights coming in right now. Very, very high. That's a blue and white. That's a blue and white. That's a blue and white. And on top of that, you got a bunch of camber flights coming in. 747 from Dover, 767-300 from coming out of near Egypt, okay? And then where are they going from there? Looks like out and about. So they're coming back to the base. So they take off, they come back. They take off, come back. So I don't know where they're headed. This one's headed to Terceira Island, but these others are not. And then, of course, you got a 747 headed back to Joint Base. Well, that's Lakehurst, but Joint Base McGuire, right? Fort Dix. All right, moving on. Look at this. France to base the Rafale F-5 fighters with hypersonic nuclear missiles near the German border. You can see NATO is in a panic. Remember, NATO just came over and had a conversation with Trump. Had Trump given them something to comfort them and said, I'm not backing out of NATO, we're just making some adjustments, we're trying to leverage the situation, they would not be doing this, right? The fact that they've come back and they all seem to be in panic mode tells you that Trump probably said, you better get it together. I'm backing out of NATO, right? Which is a glorious thing. Why are we defending Europe? We need to defend ourselves. Take care of America first. Rocked by Trump, the EU seeks to kickstart a defense push. So there you have it, right? We just said it. The EU on Wednesday sought to fire the starting pistol on plans to help member states bolster the defenses as Europe grapples with the aggression of Russia and the potential loss of U.S. security protections. There you have it, all right? Okay. And then again, Poland to deploy anti-personnel mines on the Russian and Belarus borders. Look, they're talking about millions of these things that they manufacture. And they said, look, if Russia's doing it, then we may as well be doing it too. So here we go. These things are bad because you don't know where they all are. And you lay them out. And then later down the road, when you do have peace, it always, somebody walking their dog ends up taking a mine and taking out themselves and their dog. So it's not a good situation. These things are bad news. They've been banned all around the world. And so the fact that they put them out, look, I said a long time ago, and it was probably, tongue in cheek, but you want to stop people coming into our country. You don't have to put one person out there. You just put a minefield. Heck, you don't even have to put a minefield. Just put signs that say minefield. People stop coming across your border, right? Okay. RZE Poland, let's get down. This is your forward operating base. I'm just going to go through. Notice you have an Eastern Airlines coming in, all right? They do a lot of bidding for our agencies. You got the Brits. You got the U.S. It is definitely, Germans are in there. Definitely a slight uptick. But the U.S. could be either doing final delivery of a couple of things, or they're basically pulling people out. I do see a handful of flights coming from here headed down to Constanta, which is a large U.S. base, puts us more right into the heart of what's going on down there over the Black Sea and into the Middle East. So, okay, drones attack Russian Ingalls 2 Air Base ammunition depot, and it's still exploding. You can see some of the smoke and the plume from the explosion, but look at that. That's a bright fire. Almost looks like a nuke going off, doesn't it? So, but yeah, here it is. We're trying to bring peace to the region, and they are still popping things off. Now, if you want to see how far that is into Russia, well, this is your border war right here. That's Moscow up here, but look how deep this is into Russia. This is an emergency situation declared as this thing takes off, but it is that's not good. A weapons depot, that's a big boom. So yeah, all the way out here. So how do you keep pushing peace if you just keep popping stuff off deep into Moscow? I don't know. I say Moscow, into Russia. Moscow's up here. All right. Okay. Now, this is a data point for you. The number of the number of peacekeepers in Ukraine depends on U.S. stance. Again, everybody's looking at us. Why? We should not be the policemen of the world. We need to get out of that mode. But here's the other piece. I found that because I was up here looking at what Zelensky just came out, basically said a new batch of F-16 fighter jets have arrived in Ukraine. So, as everybody is starting to try to bring peace to the region, all the indicators are that they are not trying to put peace in. They are trying to instigate a war. Trump, I don't think, is going to bite on any level, but the rest of the countries over there just could very well, because they seem to be going in that direction, and that is war. All right. Again, it's just a powder keg. All right. Air Force uses laser-guided rockets against the Houthi drones, but then the Houthis claim they shot down a 16th MQ-9 Reaper. This is the one with a little prop job on the back. We've seen them get taken out over the Black Sea by the Russians. But the fact that these Houthis are able to take out these MQ-9s, right? It says the U.S. has not confirmed the Reaper claim, right? They never do. We just see them disappear from the database as they keep getting taken out. 16 of them so far. But they're saying that the Houthis have taken it down. The Houthis are saying this. The drone, primarily used for surveillance and strike missions, is valued at approximately $30 million a copy, bringing the estimated total cost of all down MQ-9s to over $500 million. Absolutely crazy. to think that they can do this. But yeah, there's, yeah, they say they've done it again. So, right, let's move on. Speaking of the Houthis, look, the U.S. strikes Houthi strongholds in Yemen where leaders are hiding. So we did it again. That's March 19th. U.S. hit targets across Yemen. And, of course, if you talk to the Iranians, they are butthurt level bravo over this whole thing, and they are trying to do all they can to stir that pot again in the Middle East. And so, and then here's another one, too. If you weren't aware of this, it says the Iraqi militia issues Trump an ultimatum on U.S. troops, basically telling him, hey, Trump is obligated to withdraw his forces from Iraq by the end of 2025, and they must abide by their pledges to the Iraqi government. Somebody, I guess, has told them we're taken out and we'll be out of their country by 2025. But when you start having the militia telling you to do so, it's like having ISIS trying to leverage you. So pay attention to that because, again, I think the Middle East is absolutely a powder keg. And I think this is, I don't see us backing out of there anytime soon. Trump gives Iran a deadline to reach the nuclear deal. The president has made it clear he is willing to use military action to basically stop their nuclear ambitions. So, yeah, look at this. It says Trump has informed Iran it has 2 months to accept a nuclear deal that halts its ambitions for the nuclear weapon, or else the U.S. will use the military to end it for them. All right, pay attention because I think Israel's going to be in on that one too. Okay, last thing here. Look at this. China is demonstrating satellite dogfighting. This is coming from a Space Force general. Now, the interesting piece is, he says, with the United States commercial assets, we have observed 5 different objects in space maneuvering in and out and around each other in synchronicity and in control. That's a wake-up call. I will tell you that is very similar to what we were trying to do with the Reagan Star Wars program that, it's never really truly got off the ground, so to speak. But looks like the Chinese have indeed figured it out. So pay attention to that. That is definitely a game changer. Again, I know we don't talk a lot about China. It's just kind of, I think every single day it continues to stir. Will they end up trying to take Taiwan? I just don't see them doing it under Trump. I think if they were going to do it, they would have done it under the weak Biden administration. But we'll see what happens. Something is holding them back, and I think I think that force is definitely Trump trying to. I think they're scared of him, and I think they know that he won't play any games with them. So, all right. Well, look, that's going to do it for our SITREP. For those over the Q&A there in Patreon, just sit tight. We'll be with you here in just a minute. Everybody else, you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the other side. That's it. God bless. Monkey out.